time and joined us today. And all of you who have joined us on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, please do share your comments, feedback, and questions. We'll take it at the end of the session. And we do these webinars every week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Thursday webinars are professional webinars. All happens from 12 to 1 p.m. EST. And these webinars are, they deal with work and life. And if you want to be part of these webinars, then please do email us at webinar@LetUsTalkIt.com. And we have our Let Us Talk It Youth series, which happens every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. EST. And if you want to be a mentor or you have a youth or a kid who wants to participate and learn about public speaking, then we have our training sessions for these youth webinars on Friday. We have the training sessions on Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. EST. And the actual webinar happens on Fridays from 4 to 5 p.m. EST. For all, if all these information seems to be too much, then please email us at webinar@LetUsTalkIt.com, or you can even visit our website, that is LetUsTalkIt.com as well. With that, we begin today's session. We are all excited to learn something new, to enhance our minds, our knowledge. And today's topic, we have digital analytics and the art of storytelling. Storytelling is always fascinating, and when technology is put together, I think it's the perfect blend. It will be an hour session on layman's introduction to digital analytics and how businesses can leverage digital analytics to measure their e-commerce performance. And this session will also include a walkthrough of business case examples, which I think is very important. And to present this fantastic topic, we have with us Nidal Firoz. He is an analytics speaker and mentor, digital analytics and BI consultant as well. He is currently working as an associate manager of digital analytics and business intelligence. And apart from that, he's also a DAA certified web analyst and a Google and Adobe certified digital consultant. He was also listed among the top 5 data science mentors in India by the Analytics India magazine. Nidal always had an interest in numbers and therefore has served in the analytics industry since the past 3 years. He has collaborated with the Digital Analytics Association, Analytics India magazine, Boston Institute of Analytics, and Let's Upgrade, to name a few. Additionally, he is a specialized practitioner in visualization and analytics tools, including Tableau, Power BI, and all of that. He is a passionate speaker, trainer, and a mentor, having trained 2,000 plus students from 20 plus educational institutions during his prior experience as an aptitude trainer. And just by seeing him on video, we can very well tell him that he is a student himself, but having seen his profile and knowing his achievement, we are extremely proud to have you, Nidal, that you have achieved so much during this time. And over to you now.
Thank you so much, Julian. I think you did a really, that was a very, very warm welcome. And thank you for that. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen so that we can, walk through some of the stuff that we have here. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I think this is a really great community of people, trying to come together and learn something new every other week. So really glad to be a part of this and to speak at this forum. With that, we will get started. So I think you all have a bit of understanding about what's the flavor of today's conversation, or what's the theme. It's going to be around digital analytics and the art of storytelling. So without further ado, I'll just go to some of the ideas that I want to share with you guys. Like Julian very well said, storytelling is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world today. You need to have compelling data stories to get stakeholder buy-in, to make people, to get people's attention, and to actually, inspire others to actually take action based on the stories that you narrate. So I'm going to quickly share the story of my life, and I think I'm not going to put in a lot of time into what I've been through, because I think Julian has pretty much covered a good summary of some of the things that I did so far. So I'm an engineering graduate from SCMS School of Engineering Technology, Cochin, India. I'm After that I joined as an aptitude trainer with FACE, where I did quants training, quantitative aptitude training, and personal interview trainings for a lot of students across colleges. I did my MBA in marketing from Nirma University, was a social media intern for a couple of months with GoZoop agency. And currently, I'm employed with Course 5 Intelligence. I joined as a senior analyst, and right now I'm an associate manager in primarily two domains. These are my strong domains: business intelligence and digital analytics. Apart from that, I've also been an active consultant, speaker, and mentor, and I've collaborated with a lot of these organizations to kind of try and give back my bit to the community. And it has been a really, really great journey so far. Having said that, I hope you all are ready for the ride today. So I'm going to take you through, some of the thoughts that I put together here for specifically for you guys. Along the way, we are going to have a few questions. About what is, the first question here is, what is digital analytics? So if you have any thoughts, you may put it in the chat. I know some of you are watching this on different other platforms, but if you're, wherever you are, you can either put this on the chat and, or in the comments. What do you think is digital analytics? I'll just, give it a few seconds before I proceed, just to kind of see if there's any inputs coming through. Have you heard about the concept of digital analytics, or do you have any thoughts to share? Even if you have, you haven't heard about it, maybe I'd recommend that you picture in your mind, and maybe write it down in your mind. What do you think it is? And then we'll come to it in just a while. Okay. So let's look at it. Let's understand what's digital analytics. But before that, let's start with a quick story. Okay. So there's this guy named Walter. He owns a jeans store chain. It's called WJ Jeans. He has his own brand. So, he has set up his business. Probably right now he's not doing a lot of great business because, a lot of people are not stepping out of their homes to kind of go to a jeans store and then, buy some jeans. He has over 20 stores and across multiple states in India. So he's been there for a while. He has set up multiple stores. It's not like he just opened his first store. He has, in fact, more than 20 stores. So that's a big deal, compared to how other businesses maybe kind of start up, right? He wanted to increase brand awareness online. So that's something he wanted to do. He started looking at all of his other other peers doing business. They're all getting more active online. They're increasing their brand awareness online. People know about their brands, but people are not very familiar with his brand because he's still only using everything offline or in the physical world, not in the digital world. So then he takes a next step and he decides that, okay, I need to hire an agency for my, social media setup. So he wants to hire an agency and get some kind of social media awareness setup so that more people are aware about his brand. Now, when he set up his social media, through this agency, the point was to get more awareness so that more people know about his brand and then eventually come visit some of his stores. So the sales are still happening in offline or in the retail stores. So that's the intent here. But then he decides to go or take the next step. So, one of the reasons why Amazon is one of the largest organizations, or largest in terms of revenue, or in terms of in terms of market share. There's a lot of scope in e-commerce. So he also wants to get into e-commerce. He wants to sell his products, his jeans, through his own website. So he decided to set up presence in the e-commerce space. He set up a website called wjjeans.com with help from a web developer. So there's somebody helping him out set up his website. It's called wjjeans.com. So he's happy now that, okay, I have a website, and now I'm able to put some of my products out there in the e-commerce or the digital space through my website. And the next step he takes is its online storefront is set up, so it's back to business as usual. The only difference that is that, apart from all the revenue that he's generating through his offline retail sales, he's now getting a lot of sales through his online channels as well, through his website. So it's a better time for him. But now there's a new problem statement that's actually, kind of causing trouble, and not making him really happy at the end of his day. He is unable to measure what are the key performance indicators of his e-commerce business. He has a website, but he's literally blind. He is not aware of how many people are visiting his website. If there are 1,000 people visiting his website, where are they visiting from? Is there a lot of people who are actually visiting or ending up on his website, but they're not actually purchasing? Is there a gap there? So all of those things started, haunting him, and that's when digital analytics enters into the picture. So what does digital analytics do, right? It helps to understand, what is the online customer behavior. So these are a set of things it does. It collects the data of all of those website visitors. It measures it, analyzes the different trends within the data that's captured, visualizes it in the form of, charts, trend lines, or pie charts in terms of, product composition, and so on and so forth. And it also helps him to interpret what are the results, or, what are the key findings, what are some of the pain points and some of those areas. So all of this for the digital data that's getting collected, as well as the customer behavior that has been exhibited by people visiting his website. So that's where digital analytics comes into the picture. You're able to measure a lot of different things about people who are visiting your website. So let's try and understand a bit more, right? First off, let's understand what's the history of digital analytics. So there's really an evolution that happened over a lot of years. In 1990, the World Wide Web was, founded by Tim Berners-Lee, and it's the birth of the internet as we know it today. In 93, log files were captured. So there were server log files. You could use those server log files to capture, what are the different types of interactions on web pages. But again, you're not able to capture to a lot of detail, and it's just in the form of a lot of files. So it had to be analyzed, and there was a lot of data crunching to do. It became a bit complicated. It then in 95, Analog was created, which is a log file analysis program that is free of charge. So you get a lot of comprehensible reports and charts. So even people who are not very technical, even the marketers are able to kind of look at some of the charts and reports and make sense of that data. So that's when Analog came into the picture. In 96, similar to how you would see an odometer, there were these hit counters on the landing pages or websites. Omniture, which now is more of Adobe Analytics, was born there. So during 96, there were these counters on the websites which will basically count the number of people who visited, the number of times they clicked, and all of those things. In 97, this was one of the game-changing milestone in this whole journey of digital analytics. The JavaScript tags. So using JavaScript tags, you are able to report more accurately the web traffic and the trends. And JavaScript tags are even used, till today. So that's considered to be one of the key skills that any web analyst needs to have. The Web Analytics Association was born in 2004, and now it's known as Digital Analytics Association. In 2005, Google launched the Google Analytics, or you would have heard about Google Analytics, which is one of the most used web analytics service. It still is one of the most used. It has the largest market share. It has a free version, and it also has a paid version, which is Google Analytics 360. And in 2006, heat maps were born. So heat map is nothing but, on the entire web page, which are the areas where more users are navigating, scrolling, and, hovering over, which are the areas that get clicked the most. So all of these statistics are now you're able to capture and report based on that. So that's about heat maps. And in 2012, the concept of user IDs was, generated, and now you are able to identify the same user across mobile, web, and other platforms. So that's where universal analytics became a thing. And in 2016, Google incorporated machine learning into app analytics, so enabling smarter insights on the go. So, and it doesn't stop there really. So now we have server side tagging. Now there are a lot more, real time personalization. A lot of these things happen online in the digital world. These are all really, great updates that we have. So before going any further, let's look at the ABCs of digital analytics, or the very basics of digital analytics. So A is acquisition. What are you doing to attract traffic to your website? So is there anything that you're trying to do to attract traffic to your website? Is it through, are you doing better search engine optimization so that more people visit your website through Google or Bing or any of those other search engines? Or are you, using an Instagram post, trying to boost that post using, put some budget into it and then trying to bring in people through your social media? Are you sending out emails? Is email the channel that you're using to bring people to your website? So all of these different channels, the amount of spend that you are putting in each of those channels, and the return on investment, right? Which is basically, if I'm targeting 1,000 people through email marketing, how many of them are eventually landing on my website and also purchasing stuff on my website? So that's basically something you want to measure and understand that, okay, this channel is not very good to kind of spend too much on because it hasn't really brought converting users who are purchasing on my website. I should probably spend more money on social, because that's where most of the users are landing on my website and actually purchasing stuff. So that's about the acquisition side of reports. The next part is behavior. So once people have entered your website, what are they doing on the website? Are they clicking on certain places of the website? Are they going through only certain product pages? How much time are they spending on the website? Are they bouncing from my website? What is a bounce? After landing on your website, the first page itself, they immediately exit the website because they feel that, due to some reason, they're in the wrong place, or you did not target the right people for, leading them to your website. So these are just some examples of how you can measure, behavior of the users that are visiting your website. And finally, the most critical piece that you want to measure is the dollar value, or the conversion. How many of the people are eventually converting, are eventually transacting on your website, which actually converts into dollar value or revenue, right? So these are the ABCs of digital analytics. Now let's look at what is a conversion funnel. So if you are into marketing, you very much know what is a funnel, what is a marketing funnel, or what is, a conversion funnel, right? In a web analytics domain, website visit is where primarily all of the people congregate on the website, and then that's a huge amount of traffic compared to the final number of people who are actually purchasing eventually. So all of these people would not really look at the products. So there's a subset of all the people who are visiting, which is why the width of the next step in the funnel decreases, where there's a subset of these people who are viewing the products, who are a bit more interested compared to the ones who left the website without viewing the products. And then there are some people who are adding items to the cart, and these people are more genuinely interested, and they actually have the intent to purchase. So either they came to the website with the intent to purchase from before, or they came to the website, saw something, and then they felt like, okay, it's an impulse decision. I want to go ahead and buy this particular set of jeans, so let me go and add it to the cart. But do all of them convert? No. There's another process. Once you add it to the cart, there's a checkout process. So there are several steps that you have to add: your billing address, shipping address, all of those details, and then finally you make the purchase. So the worst part about this whole funnel, and it's always going to be that way, how much ever you optimize it, there's always going to be a set of people who is going to drop off from each of the stages. And that's where there is a lot of scope for optimizing it. So that's where you need to understand between which two stages of my conversion funnel are most people dropping off. Why are they dropping off? There could be some reason why they're dropping off, right? So that's some of the, along the lines of some of the analysis that you can do. So let's understand some of these conversion funnels better. One, it helps you to identify at which step are, majority of the customers dropping off. So these are, they indicate some kind of pain point that a customer is facing. It's a some kind of problem. You're also able to measure the checkout process efficiency. So in any e-commerce website, if you have checkout process, it needs to be very, very quick. It needs to be very easy for the users to check out without having to enter a lot of details or without having to go through a lot of steps. Okay, try to make the checkout process easier for people to kind of make the purchase very quickly. So if you look at Amazon, one good example would be there's a button there for people who have already made up their mind. They want to quickly purchase and then just leave. They don't want to stand in the queue of the queue at the counter where you have to basically wait for your turn or anything. They just want to purchase it and just leave the website. For those people, there's a button called buy now, and then what that buy now does is it makes the process very quicker, and then you're able to check out very quickly and make the purchase and make the payment. So that's where you need to measure how is there any scope for improving my checkout process. You can also identify any technical glitches, like for example, if there is a page not found error or a 404 error, is that causing people to kind of have a bad experience on your website? How can you fix that? You're also able to understand reasons for why people are abandoning their cart. So they added 4 to 5 items in the cart. Wow, that cart looks really heavy, right? But are they going to eventually go ahead and purchase? Maybe not. Sometimes they would have abandoned it. Why did they abandon it, right? And how can you improve that abandonment rate? So with that, I'm just going to introduce you to one of my favorite productivity apps. So there are these 2 to 3 apps that I've lined up throughout the course of this entire presentation. One of my favorites, this is Google Primer. If you have used that app before, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go check it out. It is a very good app to understand the basics, okay, the fundamental, very basics of any marketing concept, analytics concepts, or any of those kind of concepts. So it's one of my favorites, and I thought, maybe I'll share some additional value to kind of, for those of you who want to take quick 5-minute lessons, go through some, good illustrations, examples, and then understand maybe a marketing concept, how to do a better video, advertisement, or any of those kind of things. So just go and check it out when you have some time. It's time for another story. So we spoke about the story of Walter, and how he set up his website and how he also set up digital analytics on his website so that now he can measure, different things. Now let's look at a actual story. This is actually a story that I've in fact worked myself on. There's a direct selling organization. If I mention the brand, you'll all be very, very familiar with it. It set up the e-commerce, as a channel in North America. So there's previously the sales methodology was direct selling, which is more of door to door selling, or there are sales folks who are trying to reach out to you and then trying to get you to purchase. But then they also set up e-commerce as a channel in the North America, right? Deployed digital analytics on the website. So now they have digital analytics on the website. One of the things that was observed from all of the reports that digital analytics provided, so in this case it was Google Analytics, the reports said that there's a high amount of traffic from mobile devices, which is not something new, which is not a really great insight, because that's where the world is headed. Mobile is garnering much more traffic for almost all of the sites, especially when you're using paid social or social media as your channel to bring in people. Why? Because everybody uses the Facebook app or the LinkedIn app or the Twitter app or the Instagram app, but rarely use the browser version of all of these social media, right? So mobile device traffic is primarily the contributor for a lot of brands, on the website traffic. But the call out here, or the key finding here, or the anomaly here, was that the conversion rate for mobile was very low. It was just zero point 0.6 to 0.7 percentage. So what is the conversion rate of all the people that are visiting the website through their mobile devices? Only zero point 0.6 or 0.7 percentage of that entire population is purchasing, which is not a really good thing, right? And in fact, actual conversion rates on e-commerce websites will always going to be below 4 to 5 percentage. I mean, if you have better than that, then you're doing a really great job. So it's always going to be below that 4 or 5 percentage, because especially with reputed brands, they always have a lot of people visiting their website for a lot of reasons. All of them are not there to purchase. So this opportunity area was identified through digital analytics, that there's a lot of traffic, there's a lot of potential to convert the people, but those people are not really converting, right? So the recommendation that was made is to use one of the payment methods as Apple Pay. Now, why is that a recommendation here? If you look at the backdrop of the slide, also you see that we're talking about the North American market. That's a primary market for Apple devices, and 60 percentage were mobile devices, and in that another 60 to 70 percentage was Apple devices. And then Apple has this payment method, which is a one touch or a fingerprint authenticated payment method, which is Apple Pay, right? Which is a very quick checkout kind of process, and it helps to kind of make the payment very quickly. And that improved the conversion rate to 2.5 percentage. Now, if you're wondering, from 0.6 to 0.7 percentage, it improved to 2.5 percentage. That's not a big deal. Imagine when the denominator of conversion rate, or the amount of visitors is so huge, and you are converting almost more, 2 percentage of that into customers. That's a huge bump in revenue, right? So this example or this story is trying to tell you what impact or what return on your investment digital analytics can give you if you are carefully crafting it for insights, and then taking actions based on those insights, right? Let's just quickly take a summary of what did we learn about digital analytics so far. One, it always enables the continuous improvement of web experience of customers, right? So a couple of examples I always use. One is Starbucks experience. You go to Starbucks primarily for the experience that you get there, and not really for the coffee, right? Coffee would be one of the reasons, but again, the experience, the personalized experience, and the kind of setting, the ambience is what you go there for. Similarly, experiences are really, really what all of the major brands are also trying to improve for customers. So there are marketing or customer experience teams in a lot of organizations, right? What is their key focus? Every customer's experience should be enhanced, be it the digital experience, or even a physical or a retail or a actual offline experience. So that's something that there's a lot of focus on. Adobe is one of the key leaders in digital analytics. So Adobe, in its summit, Adobe has a summit every year. It always speaks about how to make experience your business. So you should always focus on creating experiences for your customers. Provides insights that that will help you convert more. So you'll get more paying customers than just prospective leads who are just there's a lot of cost in acquiring those leads, but you want to eventually convert those customers or leads into customers. It'll also help you understand how people are behaving on your website. It helps you make decisions that will build a better experience for your customers, right? You're also able to study the different types of user behavior on, maybe if it's a website or a mobile site or even on a mobile app. You're also able to track the behavior of people on, mobile apps or any of those kind of platforms. You're able to improve the return on investment on your digital marketing efforts. So if you are if you're really putting in a lot of investment in a lot of different types of digital marketing channels, you're able to improve the return that you get from each of those investments. You're also able to get insights on which channel is performing better, so you can invest more in that marketing channel, if it is email or social, or even for example, it could also be the organic search, which is where you're putting in money into SEO. So this is how a continuous improvement cycle looks like when you apply digital analytics. First, you set up all the measurement. Okay, there are these set of codes that you need to deploy on the website, JavaScript codes, and then those JavaScript codes will help you measure each of these different attributes we spoke about. And then you need to start reporting that out in the form of different sets of reports. So Google Analytics already provides you a lot of these kinds of reports, which has data about which pages were most visited, which products are most popular, and all of those kind of reports. You need to spend time and analyze that data and see what value you can bring out of that whole analysis. And finally, based on the analysis, you can do testing on the website. So you can do A/B tests where you're showing different version of the same website to different people. Uh, to one person who's landing on a page, you're giving them a version where there's a video on top and an article below. To the other person, you're showing an article on top and the video below, and you're measuring which person is responding better, and then give that working, better working version to all of the people who are visiting your website. So that's where you can test. And then after doing your testing again, you measure, report, analyze, and keep testing. So that's where you continuously improve or optimize your website, as well as optimize the experience for your customers. So here are a few of questions that you can answer using digital analytics, right? One, you are able to know which device was used. If you remember the example about the Apple phones that were used, that's just an example of how you can understand which devices are used. Where did a user log in from? Is it from a particular country? Is it from a particular state or city? Which browser was used, right? Is it more of Chrome, or is it Safari, or is it Internet Explorer, or any of the other browsers? Did the user add a product to the cart, right? Which are the pages that the user visited? How much revenue is being generated online? Which are the top marketing channels? So which are the ones that are converting more number of users? And how much time was spent on the entire website? So all of these questions can be answered by deploying digital analytics on your website. So what do you see here? I mean, the question is very obvious, right? You can just think about the answer or put it in the chat. You're welcome to do either of that. But what do you see here? And how is it relevant in analytics, right? I'm not sure if you have noticed before, but there's a lot of conversation about cookies. Yeah, so Raj says cookies, right? There's a lot of conversation about cookies when you talk about browsers or websites or analytics. What are these cookies? And recently, there's a lot more conversation about cookies because GDPR, if you have heard about, the data protection regulation that's primarily, emanated from Europe. There are these regulations which say that you need to get consent from users before tracking their data. So all of those things are, the most recent trends. So here's a quick understanding of how cookies work, right? You get on the web, and when you try and request information from a website, it always replies, from the web server, and it gives you back that information. And while it does that, it drops a cookie on your, primarily the cookies reside on in your browser. Okay. So when you go back to that website later, again, the cookie or the information within that cookie is sent back to the server, and it returns information based on the cookie. So if you a simple example would be, if you've already logged in on a site, and if you have added a few items to your cart, okay, let's take Amazon as an example. You've added a few items to your Amazon cart, and then the next time when you come back, how does that browser or the other website, basically, or the web server, give you back those exact same items that you added in the cart? It's all from cookies, right? So when you use, any website, there are different types of cookies that get dropped, and these cookies are nothing but they're collecting information about, what are your different actions. Even the analytics tools that we spoke about, if it is Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics, all of these tools actually drop their own cookies to your, on your browser, and that's how the data is captured, and then the cookies are sent back to the analytics server. From that, the data is captured and separated out, processed before showing up in all of the reports. So that's about cookies or web beacons. So following are the different types of cookies. One is necessary or essential cookies, right? So it enables you to navigate and use the basic site features. So these kind of cookies, you don't need to get a user's consent, because this is primarily for giving the user a better experience, not for marketing, not for collecting his data or any of those things. Then come the functional cookies. So it's for personalization. You want to give your customer a personalized experience. How would you do that using functional cookies? And then there are statistical cookies, which are most of the analytics cookies fall under this category. It is primarily with the one and only motive of collecting and reporting that data or information. And then you have marketing cookies. So marketing cookies are the ones that can be used to kind of identify that, okay, this is the same customer who came to my website yesterday and then added a few items to the cart and did not purchase and leave. So let's send him an email asking him about, okay, you added these items to your cart, but you forgot to purchase. Do you want to purchase while there is another deal going on, or maybe there's another 10% off, or whatever it is, right? So marketing cookies are used for targeting or marketing to people. Having said that, there are a few of these web analytics KPIs that you can, measure using these Google Analytics or any of the analytics tools. So some of them are visits. How many people have visited your website? Which how many times was the website visited? The total revenue that is obtained from e-commerce, the total number of orders or the purchases that were completed, the percentage of people or the percentage of visits who eventually resulted into transactions where they eventually purchase something on your website. Bounce rate is basically the amount of people or the percentage of people who are leaving your website on the first page itself without any interaction on the website. So that's not a good number. If you're having a very high bounce rate, if you are having 90% bounce rate, it means that 90% of the people are not going beyond the first page. They're just leaving very quickly, which is not a good sign. You can also measure number of times, products were added to cart and the duration of a session. So these are just some examples. These are not all of the examples, but these are the most common ones or the basic ones. Okay. And I'm going to put this slide out there just to kind of give you a sense of what are some of the industry benchmarks for bounce rate for each of the different types of websites, like content websites and, other sites. With that, let's take another quick break where we talk about a productivity app number 2. And this is again one of my favorites. I use this almost every day. The app that I'm talking about is Trello. So again, I'm not sure if you have used this before, but Trello is a really great app which helps you become very productive, keep a tab of what are the things that you need to complete. Basically helps you also reprioritize your to-do list very easily. So you can move items between a list, or you can move item across the different lists that you manage. So it's a very helpful or useful tool, at least for me personally, to kind of improve my productivity and to keep a tab of all the things that I have to do. With that, now we're going to the last few sections of this presentation. What are you seeing here in this image? Would you like to put that in the chat, or would you like to keep a mental image or a thought of an answer of what are we looking at here in this image? Okay, dashboard, right? So Raj says dashboard, and this is spot on point. You're looking at a dashboard here, and what exactly is a dashboard? It has a lot of these indicators, right? Yeah, and there's also some smoke in this image. So it has a set of these indicators or the meters or the gauges which help you measure something about how quickly or how fast the car is moving at this point, at any point. And in this image, again, what do you see here? You see a more complex version of it. So now you're talking about the cockpit of a plane, where you need to have more complex controls because it's a bit more complex. Similar to how your businesses work, this is another example of how you need to have those different gauges to understand whether you're going right, going wrong, what decision to make. Is it the right time to kind of kick off or take off, or is everything good? Are the fuel meters looking at the right, are they at the right levels? So all of these things you need to measure even if you are a business. Okay. So that's where we are going to come to next, which is dashboards. So the actual dashboard that we are going to talk about today is more of business dashboards. So just like a car has a meter or a gauge to tell you that, okay, now you are speeding up too much. You're not, in an economic speed limit, that you're using up a lot of fuel. That's not good for your personal finance, right? So similarly, businesses also need to have these kind of dashboards, which will tell them, okay, stop spending there. That's taking up all of your money. That's the wrong place to spend. You need to start spending somewhere else, or you need to stop promoting this product. It's not really working out. You should focus on your other product, which is probably selling more in the market, right? So all of those kind of insights you'll get using dashboards in a business setting. So what are dashboards used for? One, it's used to measure KPIs, or key performance indicators. You're able to understand trends in your data by looking at dashboards. You're also able to make decisions. Are you making the right decisions? If you are not looking at your data before making a decision, it's like you are blindfolded and making a decision, right? So maybe there are people out there who always use intuition to make decisions, but sometimes when you switch that, relying on that intuition and rely on data for a change, you'll sometimes see much better results, from that kind of decisions. And then you're also able to monitor and set up some kind of alerts to see that, okay, something's not going right. I should go in and fix that. Maybe sales is, daily sales amount is lower than your usual, minimum value. So how do I set up an alert or an automated email that gets sent to me that, my sales are lower than usual? That's where data analytics really helps. So again, let's look at why, or what are some of the reasons why you should use these dashboards. It helps you to easily represent the data or the different data points, and it also helps you to, the users to kind of consume it very quickly or easily. With the use of charts and visuals and bar graphs and all of that, it helps people to retain the data points quicker in their memory, rather than seeing a lot of numbers in an email or in a presentation slide. So that's where you need to use visuals or dashboards. You get a bird's eye view or a summary view of how everything looks like from the top view. These are my top 10 products that are doing really well, or these are my highest paying customers, right? All of that kind of views you are able to build using your data. You're able to identify anomalies. You are able to do self-service. So you don't need to rely on somebody else to kind of pull that data together for you. And then previously it used to be that way. You need to go to IT for, then IT will run a lot of SQL queries and then fetch that data from the database and give it back to you. But now with dashboards and visualization tools, you are able to self-service the data requirements that you have. So you just apply a few clicks and you get the data that you need. You're also able to get speed to insights. So you need to have, get your insights, have your insights at the tip of your finger. Why? Because by the time it comes through, if it takes a month to come through, then it's really difficult for you to take action, because the time to take action has already passed by, right? So you need to get quick insights so you can take action on them immediately and then reap the benefits from them. So how do you derive value from dashboards? So that's where we're going to come to. Then there's something called raw data, which is maybe a lot of Excel sheets that has a lot of data, but then you want to generate some value from that entire raw data, right? So there are observations that you can make about data. There's a particular outlier in this data. There's a particular trend that I'm observing, all of those kind of things. And then there are insights, which is a bit more refined kind of pointers, which tell you, okay, this is a key insight that I need to focus on and maybe make a change in the way I take my decisions. And then finally, there are recommendations, which are basically actionable ones. So if you are a consultant, if you are a data analyst, you need to give recommendations to your end users and tell them that, okay, this is what you should take action on. This is specifically what you need to do. So you need to have actionable insights. You need to have specific insights so that people can actually go back, take action, and see how that changes things up. So here are three examples. Again, if you look at 1, 2, and 3, These are examples for observations, insights, and recommendations, right? And this is from a digital analytics example. Uh, just picture in your mind which one among these is an observation, which one is an insight, and which one is a recommendation. If you have any thoughts to share, please put that in the chat. Feel free to do that. Which among this is an observation, which is an insight, and which is a recommendation? Any thoughts to share, anybody? Okay, Rory says two is an observation. Raj says three is an insight. Okay, okay. I think that answers it, right? Then first one is obviously a recommendation, right? So, and by the way, first one is not a very clear or a crisp recommendation. It's not specific. It's just a very generic uh, recommendation saying that improve the overall mobile usability. That's not recommended to use these kind of recommendations. You need to be more specific, right? But that's just there for an example. But yeah, you're right on track. Number two is an observation. You're just observing that there are a lot of 404 or page not found errors on your website. And then number three is something you're looking at a bit more of detail. That's an insight, which is a bit deeper. So people are not really happy because there's a lot of shipping costs for getting their products. They're not really happy. That is not understandable by simply looking at your data. You need to apply some brains and spend some time with that data to come with that kind of analysis. And finally, one is a recommendation. Okay, so there you go. Two is an observation, three is an insight, and one is a recommendation. Every dashboard that you're creating should have a story to tell, which is what we've tried to focus on all of this time, right? Keep less story, data points in whatever you're showing so that it's more impactful. Look at who is your target audience before kind of crafting your story. These are all things that matter in to kind of create a compelling data story. With that, we'll come to one of the last applications of digital analytics that I've put together for you here. It's called voice of the customer analytics. Now, you would have seen a lot of brands who are very customer centric these days. Like customer is king, whatever the customer says is what I should also become, right? Whatever the customer wants is what I should give him. So that's where customer is a really important stakeholder in a business setting. So voice of the customer analytics is basically when you are collecting data from a lot of different sources and then putting together that data and understand what is your customer talking about you as a brand, about your product, or about maybe even your competitors for that matter, right? So what are the different sources you can get data from? You can look at social media and understand what customers are talking about you, on social media platforms. You can understand how people are responding about their website experience on your website, obviously, right? You're also able to understand more about what are in the customer's minds by when they talk about the purchase experience or the product experience. So maybe they are posting a review on a product review website where they are talking about I did not have a really good experience using that product. So you need to capture that data, mine that data, and then put that together. And then if there's a lot of people talking about a particular product of yours about having a bad experience, then you need to do something about it, right? That will always give you better kind of decision making capabilities. Customer surveys also give you a lot of insights. Even the customer service calls, when you call a particular customer service number, you always get this recording which says that these calls are recorded for improvement of our service or whatever it is. But do they actually use that data? Not all of them do. I mean, some of them use it for maybe their training purposes or any other different reasons. But is that data mined, converted into text, and then that text is again mined for insights? Not all brands do. They just record it and keep it in a database for just there. It just lies there and rots. You're also able to measure how somebody's in-store or actual physical store, retail store experience was. And then finally, not last but not the least, what is the feedback that they're giving you in maybe to the people in the store, or in a feedback form, or any of those different places, right? So all of these data sources can be plugged into a common report, which is the voice of customer report, and that's a very very powerful report if you want to become a customer oriented business or a service provider. With that, we will go to the third pro productivity app for the day, which is Google Podcasts. So Google Podcasts has a lot of podcasts. If you haven't listened to podcasts yet, you should try it out. My recommendation is to start your day with a really good podcast and try experimenting to see which podcast works better for you and which one is your favorite. So with that, I'll just head to so I and Komal are doing a Tableau workshop, which is a crash course where you get hands-on experience, you get individual feedback on the dashboards that you are creating. So if you haven't really created dashboards, if you haven't analyzed data, this is a workshop where you can actually go in and do some of that stuff. So that's about this. And then there's also a few of these additional value that is currently part of the Tableau workshop that we are doing. You get to take part in really interactive real time quizzes. You're also able to prepare for questions for Tableau interviews or data analytics interviews. You're also able to design based on the best practices of visualization. You're also able to kind of take part in community events, start building your brand, and give back to the community in terms of the dashboards that you have created and all of that stuff. I've just put the link in the chat, just in case you'd like to take a look at that. Julian, I'll need your help with sharing that link with the other audiences as well. There's also my LinkedIn profile if you'd like to connect with me. So all of these are different, avenues where you can understand more about data analytics, visualization, and also about, how to create your own first dashboard. So it's a 1 to 2 weeks workshop. Some of our students have really come up with, amazing dashboards, and some of these are their first dashboards, right? So we are really proud of some of our students who put design or design thinking to another level and created some of these really cool dashboards, which is from a store, retail store or an online store kind of a data set. So this is another example from the same data set, where you can see this is basically what you call a business dashboard, where there are these trend lines. You're able to see which is the top point, the bottom point, and what's the comparison with respect to the previous year, because any number that you're looking at, you're not able to really understand whether it's good or bad without benchmarking it against your previous year data or any of those other numbers. So that's about this workshop. I'd be really happy to take any questions if you have any. So I'll just let this stay for a while if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, the talk was very lively and presentative and enjoyable. It was like a bullet, coming one after the other, and each one of them hitting the target bang on. So
thank you, Raj.
we enjoyed it very much, very lively, and it was keeping our interest till the end without any decline whatsoever. And you have a very nice way of presenting it. Though it is technical, but then it was presented more like a novel, so people can see what is there in it for them and apply that. So I have a question, or
Sure, Raj.
maybe a comment,
Mm-hmm.
which is these cookies and analytics encroaching upon the privacy. So today, the controversial thing is that whichever site you go, the first notification you get is that we are using cookies. Hey, I just came to your website for getting some information. Why are you peeping into my privacy? And this becomes an annoying invasion into individual liberties and individual habits and individual purchasing thing. Every time you snoop around as to what I am doing, and and then you go to the from this website, you go to CNN, and in the CNN one corner of the window, that product appears again. Can you want to come back? And sometimes the same product appears.
Right.
So my comment here is that it is a two-edged sword. Like for a commercial company, it is very useful to get an insight into the customer behavior, whereas the customer finds it very, very annoying that today every piece of information about you, including your social security number, your preferences, your purchasing style, everything is public, and several companies have taken ownership of that. So what do you think is a cutting point, maybe a dividing line up to which you can go, beyond which you don't go? Because there is also something called human decency, that where you don't intrude, or you don't want to stand on somebody's toes all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much for your feedback, Raj. It really means a lot. And a really great question. Like you said, it is indeed a double-edged sword. Some people prefer to be cookied, and I'll come to that a bit later. And some people, like you said, it can be very annoying. You really don't want a brand to kind of collect your data and cookie you and annoy you with that. Now, to kind of talk a bit more about that, I'd go back to how it was before. A brand would be, dropping cookies in your browser and collecting data about you without letting you know, okay, without taking your consent. So that's how it used to be earlier. That's where a lot of customers had pain points that, like you just said, or I think you summed up all the pain points really well. That's when these rules, these privacy regulations, these are all very customer centric regulations, which is for those customers who don't want their privacy to be breached. That's where the rules came in, that you cannot drop a cookie in somebody's browser without taking their consent first. And there are two ways of taking consent. One is, by default, it's tick marked and you just click on next, and then, that's like tricking somebody into accepting it. But and then there's another way where they have to really opt in, where by default it's not ticked, and then you have to tick it and then go, admit to it. So that's why these days, especially, a lot of organizations are now, trying to follow those regulations, because if they don't follow the regulations and get caught in an audit, if it's found out that, especially in Europe, for the GDPR that I was speaking about, these regulations say that if you are caught in an audit, there's hefty amounts of fine amount that you have to pay. And to actually implement the cookie consent on the website is costing you much less percentage of it. So that's where brands have started thinking that, okay, now I'll only get the, I'll implement whatever it is on my website, these changes, and basically try to avoid getting penalty, right? So that's when you are seeing a lot of these notifications on almost every website. If you're not seeing it on one website today, just wait maybe a couple of months, they'll also have started putting in there, because they are also started worrying about, their legal telling them to start putting that notice. So that's about the people, who don't want their privacy to be breached. In fact, the situation right now is more customer centric, where if you block the cookies, technically a site cannot drop cookies, and technically they can't show you product recommendations on the other website. If they're still doing it, they are breaching it. Okay. Now, I can even take a quick example or show you an example of, maybe let me try resuming sharing, and maybe go to, just give me a second. Are you able to see my screen, Raj, where I'm on the browser screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just go to any random website. Okay. Let me think about, okay, Dell. Okay. It's just a random example, right? So at any point, I can see that there are cookies that are being dropped, like, for example, seeing this. And then if sites are actually not removing the, dropping the cookies without taking your consent here, that's actually unlawful, and you are able to even report that on certain forums, right? So here you can see accept all is in green. Why is it in green? It tries to kind of give users the intent or tries to make them click on that because it looks green, right? You understand what I'm trying to say here, right? Trying to kind of play the users a bit. So that's what almost every brand is doing, because they still want to collect your data, and it's very much useful for them. Now, there's the second type of users I spoke about, where they don't mind being cookied. Why? For example, if I'm looking for something, online, if I'm searching for it online, and then I'm able to find that product kind of notification on my next ad, if I'm kind of finding it maybe in my email inbox, if that's helping me, then there are some people who don't mind about their data being shared. So there's that kind of users also. But then the majority of the users don't want their privacy to be breached. So you're absolutely right in the fact that it's wrong to breach that privacy. There's that line that should not be crossed. That's where all these regulations are actually focused on. I hope that kind of throws a bit more light on your question.
Yes, it is very true, because recently I looked at the value of my house. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I went to a website, there are plenty of websites which shows your house. It shows the pictures. You can see Google picture, front page, back page, everything you can see. And then it shows what is the market value, etc. And I kind of hit the roof when I saw what is the mortgage balance on my house. That is also available as a public piece of information. I wanted to take that site to the court, because what balance I have, mortgage balance, is none of your business. Okay. But then you are astounded and appalled to see to the extent of invasion they do into your data. They might even see whether you're married or divorced, how many remarriages you did, how many children. These are all my private information. For somebody to look at the value of the property to make a buy or sell decision, they don't need to know all this. And unfortunately, these are available for an unsuspecting visitor without even asking for this information.
Absolutely. I mean, there is no ethics. I mean, there's no consideration for ethics in especially some of these initiatives or whatever marketing activities that are taken up. I agree with you.
So that brings to the next question, my next question, which was a very relevant point you made, which is making experience a business driver. This is something that we all business owners learned today, that it is not about one purchase or what is the purchase value, how many dollars, how many cents. It is not that a piece of transactional data that matters, but rather on a holistic level, what kind of an experience you give to the buyer. Okay. This is very, very vital, because even during these difficult economic days, if a customer were to come back to you, it is because he has a very pleasant memory of dealing with you, the professionalism, the quality, the candor that you exhibited, the integrity in the transaction, and the deliverables that you exhibited, and how you made the client look good in front of their clients. Okay. So the very important point we need to remember in all these designs, whether it is digital analytics, etc., or enhancing our business, primary driver should be making that experience a pleasant one. Okay.
Yep.
And that was very relevantly brought out from you. And do you have any tips on how to do this?
Okay. It depends, on what kind of business you are. So, can you tell me a bit about how, what I believe you're a business owner, right?
Yeah, I'm a business owner. We do software consulting and, consultant business, like sending consultants on contract, like you can say time and material development of software.
Okay.
On-site and
so. So, in terms of customer experience improvement, I think you need to look at every touch point where the customer is interacting with you, your organization, your brand, or even with any of your staff members, right? At any point, are they having any difficulties? Are they having any certain pain points? And how do you understand that? Again, I think for you, maybe voice of customer can be a good example to understand what is the customer's thoughts about you. So it's really difficult to understand customer pain points by just looking at data that gets collected. Sometimes you need them to express it. So I think feedback really plays a lot of importance here. So in order to improve customer experience, you need to tailor, whatever you provide with more of their needs. Now, I can give you a very good example. This Tableau workshop that I'm doing right now, one of the things that really delighted my customers or my students really, right, is the fact that whenever they come up with some kind of need or statement saying that this is something else we'd like to learn, we really take that, change the course module a bit and then give them back that information also. And then obviously you also have to look at how much of it is feasible, how much of it is not. But to actually ace at customer delight, sometimes you have to go a bit out of your way, and that will eventually get you better results in the long run. In the short run, it may need, it may be something that takes up a bit more of effort, time, and even a bit more of money, maybe in some cases. But then in the long run, those are the customers who will always talk better about the experience. They'll talk better about your brand. They'll bring in more other customers and give you a lot of word of mouth publicity also. So that's just a off the top suggestions to really make your each of your action customer oriented, and then look at what are they talking about you, your services, and the feedback basically.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for your questions, Raj. Any other questions, anybody?
Yeah, Chandu, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi Nidal. Yeah, that was a very good presentation actually, very beautifully designed. And yeah,
Hi, Chandu, thank you.
Yeah, I almost covered complete digital analytics course, I think so, in these slides. Yeah, I have one question actually. So we all know about digital analytics. We all dealt with this. But when the digital analyst comes into picture, digital analyst, so like you almost giving the all course to all the people. So like what is the importance of digital analyst here in the market or in coming future or in the industry?
Okay. So I think right now is the best time to have digital analytics. I mean, it started coming in way before. I mean, it's not something new. I mean, right now maybe it's gaining more popularity because of the reason that there's a lot of digital transformation that's happening right now. You would have seen that cartoon image where it says, okay, everybody's talking about business transformation, but what actually got everybody digital transformation? It's COVID, right? Because of COVID, everybody has to go digital. So I just remember seeing a LinkedIn post today about the CEO of Genpact speaking about how if in a particular industry only 20% of the people were doing business online, now that has gone to 50%. And if in another industry, if there were 50% of the people who were doing business online, then that became to 90% of them doing the business online. That's why, companies like Zoom have making a lot of money, even the IT companies, the companies that are, manufacturing laptops, because everybody has to work from home digitally, remotely. So the world is going headed digital. And if you want to sustain, if you want to, still make the best out of the situation, you have to go digital. That's where, digital and physical are completely different in a sense that if you are actually at a big basket store or an Amazon, not an Amazon store, but a big bazaar or any of the retail stores, you're not able to measure which are the products that people picked up, put in the cart, and then put it out, right? But in a digital environment, you are able to measure that. Okay. Now, again, let's not think of it that you're crossing ethics or those lines to kind of measure anything. But in an ethically good way, you're still able to measure all of that. That's where it makes it relevant. That you are able to measure, and that gives you a lot of data, and that data will help you become a data-driven decision maker. So you're not making decisions based on, okay, I think this is the right way to go. No, you should always look at, okay, the data is telling me not to go in this direction. And that's where any organization, any technological organizations primarily are seeing a lot of growth, because they started, collecting the data, looking at the data, and then started making decisions based on that data. So that's where digital analytics is very, very important right now, because all the world is going online. So you need to measure all of the data that is there online. I hope that answers your question. If not, please let me know.
Yeah, that answers my question. Yeah. Thank you, Nitin. So,
Sure, no problem.
one question, like, how can we starting this digital analytics, like, to be a professional in that?
I think the first place you would want to start is, go to Google Analytics Academy. So you just need to search for Google Analytics Academy. And then there are a couple of courses that will help you learn Google Analytics for beginners. It's a free course. It's an authenticated, certification from Google that you can do. But that's a good place to start for digital analytics if you're looking at some, quick learners. And there are a lot of people you can follow on LinkedIn also, who are digital analytics. There's right now, I think last week there was a summit or an online conference that was going on called Measure Summit, which had a lot of digital analytics speakers coming together and talking about latest trends. But I think for starters, you should, maybe start with Google Analytics.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Nitin.
Sure. Feel free to connect with me offline on LinkedIn also. I mean, if you have any digital analytics questions, I'll be happy to take those.
And
Sure, yeah, my friends do have something.
Have you provided your LinkedIn contact and email contact? I don't see that.
Yeah, I actually posted it in, okay. Let me just post it again.
Yeah.
I think I posted it only to the panelists before. So now it's also posted for the attendees. So yeah.
Yeah, sure, Nitin. Actually, my friends do have some this marketing kind of interest. So, like, yeah, maybe I'll share them this contact.
Okay, sure, please. I'm also launching a video book soon. So if you want to kind of, you can look at one of my recent LinkedIn posts. On my profile, you'll find, a post which is about a video book or a video series of book about how to enter data analytics industry. So I'm coming up with that as well, just in case you're interested. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really great presentation. And I mean, as the storytelling is what really made it very different. Thank you so much. Definitely, I will touch base with you further.
Thank you. Definitely. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Srini. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Srini. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Nidal. I mean, when we speak to any guest speaker and they say how many slides approximately we should present, and it's almost like 10, 15, whatever your comfort level is. And when a speaker comes up with 40 slides, then we know that you are passionate about what you're speaking, and that came out so well in your presentation, I must say. So thank you so much for all the, being that passionate, being that interested in what you're doing, and, you're totally involved in it. Can you please check our YouTube, and Vamshi, can you check YouTube and Facebook if we have any comments? Then we can take that just after this announcement that we have our immigration attorney. He will be taking a webinar today from 2 to 3 p.m. EST, talking about filing fees, changes effective October 2nd, general clarification, EB3 downgrade 485 filing. And this is not an interactive session. And please submit your questions if you have any at www.letustalkit.com/help. So if you are interested, you can join the meeting, or if you have question, you can ask the question in the, in that link that I said just now. Okay, and so with that, another announcement that we, as usual, have our professional webinars every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So tomorrow we have another session. The topic tomorrow is I am not creative. Many people say that, including us all. A self-limiting belief people have, and how to beat it. That's very important. We can always think that, but how to beat it is our topic for tomorrow. And for Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. EST, we have our Let Us Talk It Youth Series, and the topic is Two Super Moms Need Help Too from Family. This is meant for super moms, super dads, whoever is taking that charge of taking care of everything. Why, what, when, and how of this simple but in fact impactful question, which we all should reflect for the moms who wear multiple hats. So this is our agenda for the rest of the week. And so, Vamshi, do we have any questions?
Yeah. So today we have the 4 p.m. The prep session for youth. You can
right. Correct. Thank you, Srini, for reminding. So for the youth session on Friday, we have the prep session, as I told earlier, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Today it is from 4 to 5 p.m. EST. Please join in. The link, or you can ask your question at webinar@letustalkit.com. And if we don't have any question, thank you so much, Nidal, for your time. Thank you, audience, for joining in, giving your time, being so interactive. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Julian. I think you've got a very interesting lineup of all of those sessions. I mean, you really caught my attention there. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody who tuned in and stayed till the end. Let's connect again till next time. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Srini. Thank you, everyone. Signing off.
Thank you so much, Nidal. Thank you all.
Thank you
and
all.
For everybody, have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.